There are all kinds of useful custom visualizations in Power BI. I don't think I've gone through any of them in any video yet or even showed you how to load them. So in this video I'm going to quickly just go through a few that I find useful. So when you load them, they're over here on the right. So you see the name here. We're going to go through the stream graph, the Sankey diagram, the hierarchy slicer, the play axis, and another one called journey graph. But I'm going to load that. I'll show you how to load them if you haven't done it before. But before I show you that, vous devez savoir où se trouvent les autres fichiers for the other visualizations. So to do that, you just go into OneNote, which we always have open, and then up here, once you're in the Power BI users group, in the little search pane, just type in the word custom, and custom visuals you'll see will pop up, and then it shows you the path. So just for the sake of this video, I saved it to my desktop. Donc je vais ouvrir d'ici. Vous devez cliquer sur l'icône ici. Import from file. Import. And then you can browse to where it is. I just put it right in here, journey graph. And then you click open. Et puis vous allez voir qu'il y a une icône maintenant pour représenter la visualisation custom ici, journey graph. So we're going to quickly go through all of these. So when you first bring in a visualization, don't worry if you don't know how to use it. I never know how to use them. You just drag and drop fields into the field list over here, and eventually you'll get something that makes sense. I'll show you an example. I'll start with the stream graph. So if you click on that, you see you have some generic labels here. So you just add things that you think would make sense. So for category, I believe in this case it's the x-axis going down here. I'm going to go down and select one of the date fields. I'm going to select fiscal quarter. For the series, I'm going to select, I don't know, maybe the field. I think that's the grouping in this case. Or you can just click the little checkbox there. Et puis, ça va vous l'ajouter ici pour vous. Et puis, j'ai besoin de sélectionner une colonne, une pièce de données qui représente les données comme numero, so a sum or something. So to do that, I'm just going to go down here and pick an amount, and a generic amount right here. That's kind of interesting, right? So I guess for this one, going down on the x-axis, you have the time series, you have the amount here, and the size or the area of the color each represents what we put for the series. So you can select and you can see how big it is. It's just a nice, interesting, different way of looking at it. So the next one I'm going to show you is called the Sankey. So again, click on it, same thing. You have to drag and drop different fields from your data into here. So this one's interesting because it's you start with source and then destination. So the source is what appears on the left. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And the destination is what appears on the right. So let's say that I wanted on the left to show the field, and then on the right I wanted to show the DFSA position title for who's approving requests in the My Purchase Request system. And then you can define the weight or the width or the size of each of the lines. And I'm going to make that be the total amount of what's being requested to be purchased. So then you get something interesting here. Vous pouvez voir que le bar ici, la grandeur de la barre représente le montant de ce qui est la personne veut acheter, so request amount. So here for field 3, the vast majority of the purchase requests went to director and equivalent, and then we had a tiny amount here go to director general. So it's again a nice, interesting way of showing like from what to what, left to right, kind of like you're reading a sentence. And then you can have the thickness of the bar represent an amount or an account or something. The other one I wanted to show you is called the hierarchy slicer. Maybe in FRS, if you're selecting like supplying FRC rollup or something, vous allez voir, vous voyez que vous avez l'option de commencer avec comme la branche par exemple, et puis vous pouvez aller à la division. You can just click down the hierarchy when you're selecting, like in a tree, comme dans un arbre. So this visualization kind of replicates that. So all you have to do is specify the hierarchy you want to go down the slicer by adding them here to the fields. So I'm going to start with the field, and the branch, and the division. You get the idea in the section. So now it's a slicer, but it's just like an FRS where you can drill down and get to the hierarchy for the FRCs. And if you select something, it filters everything else, of course, based on what you select. And you can completely customize the order you want that to go down. So that's really neat. The other one I wanted to show you before I get to the play axis is the journey graph. You've seen this. Oops. The journey graph. So I'm going to click here. And this is kind of neat because you can specify, it's kind of like a journey from getting one point to the next, and the thickness of the bubbles you'll see represents usually an amount. So I'm going to say the measurement data is transaction amount. And then I'm going to say, show me the journey going from the field to the branch to the division. And then you get this nice, cool interactive chart that it follows along in the order that you specify, and the size of the ball at the end represents the transaction amount. It's kind of small, but anytime you click on something, it kind of moves it around. It's kind of cool. And anytime you're adding these visualizations and you want to make them big full screen, you can always just click this icon here. Et puis ça va remplir l'écran complètement avec la visualisation ici. So that's pretty useful. And I'll go back. The final one I'll show you is, it's called right here, play axis. So if you click on it, it's very simple. You just specify one field of information that you want, and once you click play, it cycles through every value in that field as a filter. So it'll go through like each second, it'll filter the next item, and it filters everything else in your dashboard based on that. And you can specify the time interval. So instead of switching every second, peut-être que ça va changer tous les 5 secondes, quelque chose comme ça. It's completely customizable. So if I just for fun, I'm going to put in the branch. So I want the play axis. Oops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing again. Let me delete that. That's another thing. You have to be careful when you're clicking around here. If you want something applied to a visualization, make sure you clicked on it and select it, like right there. So now I'm going to bring this here. So you see now it's like a play axis. You can play, you can stop and pause, whatever. And it's based on the branch, level 3 FRC. So if I click play, you'll notice field 1, field 2, the branch. It's going through the branches, and now it's going through the corporate account branches, which there's not much there. But once we get into field 3, you'll notice there's data. So if you ever wanted to play something in a dashboard where you see like maybe a time series, it's a good option. But features are coming that'll mimic that in Power BI later. Anyway, there are all kinds of custom visualizations. Je crois qu'il y a presque 50 dans le fichier que IT a mis en place. But this is just like 4 or 5 that I like. So again, we went through the Sankey, which is this one, the stream graph, which is this one, the hierarchy slicer, which is cool. It lets you do kind of what you do in FRS, which is this one, the journey graph, which I really like if you want to impress someone with something that's kind of floating around and is actually pretty interactive, and then the the play axis here, which lets you kind of play it like a kind of a presentation. And if you wanted to change the time interval for the presentation one, you just click on the format options here, and then you go under animation settings, and then you can change the time from 1,000 milliseconds all the way up to whatever you want. Anyway, I encourage you to experiment with custom visualizations because there are all kinds of really neat ones. If there's something you're not seeing in some of the stock visualizations, go to the custom ones. You'll probably find what you're looking for.